are back with another episode of From the Rafters. Sam and I here recording Monday, September 27th. And before we get into Celtics Media Day, some comments from around the league, Sam and I's favorite teams played each other in the Premier League this past week, and it was very entertaining. It was very fun.
Oh, it's a hell of a game. As someone that bet on the game, I mean, just as a fan, I would have been disappointed regardless because I don't love that they drew. I mean, it's a winnable game for Liverpool. Liverpool versus Brentford at Brentford.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic game.
Huge game.
End to end, 6 total goals. It was great. But, I mean, I bet the game, bet 1.5 for Liverpool. Obviously, they tied. Then I even hedged. I had it to the point where had they even just won outright, I would have made my money back.
Mm-hmm.
And they had many chances to put away, but very, very frustrating day. Jack made sure to bust my balls, which is fantastic. Good for Jack.
I picked Brentford at the start of the year. So
he did not hop on a team.
Nope.
That
they're playing really well too. They're playing really well this season.
He hopped on way before.
Shout out. Shout out Brentford. And I think we talked about it on this podcast, so I have the receipts somewhere. Brentford fan. Both teams should have won it, in fairness. Like Liverpool had a couple chances, Salah, and then someone else had a chance, but I forget.
To back.
Yep, Mane had a chance.
Go up 4-2.
Yep, Brentford had chances. Tony scored at the end of the game, but it got called offside. So there was that. And then they dumped the ball into a defender in the box, but he couldn't control it, so they couldn't score there either. Both teams had chances to win it, but it ended up in a draw, which very disappointing for Liverpool fans, but very exciting for me and Brentford fans. So I was hyped. If Brentford finishes top 10 in the Prem this year, that's fucking insane.
Oh, it's big,
right?
For them.
Like that'd be crazy.
Yeah, it came up. Oh yeah,
huge, absolutely, and they have a chance. I think they're 9 right now. I know Arsenal beat the Spurs yesterday, so that probably helps them a little bit. I know Man City won against Chelsea. That ended their undefeated streak. I know
Liverpool are the only unbeaten team.
Aston Villa won, but I forget who they beat, but I know it was an upset. So I know
they beat United.
Yeah. So I mean, let me look at the Premier League table right now.
But we can get off of this. You can look it up and say who's top, but after that we'll get off. Because the good news for you listeners is Jack and I are not going to have to fill content for much longer.
We have some content. Liverpool's won right now. They have 14 points. They're up by a point on 5 different teams.
They should be at 16. What a missed opportunity.
Brentford has 9 points right now. They're 9th in the Prem.
Good for them.
I'm hyped. I'm very excited.
Not a knock on them. It's just Liverpool did not play defensively.
Yeah. And the reason I love Brentford
all season 3 in that one game.
Yep. The reason I love Brentford so much is because they don't play back. They run. They go for the ball. They go for goal. And that's entertaining soccer. Oh, yeah. Very entertaining. Which is why the game was
great.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it. But we can jump into some NBA news. Let's just start it off with our favorite person in the world, Kyrie Irving, who is once again in the media. And I don't know if you saw the latest quote, which was, I don't want to be all in the media. I don't want to cause a ruckus. Something like that. Kyrie basically said, I don't want to cause a distraction again.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he said something like, oh, gosh, I don't see it. I don't have the quote, but he said something along the lines of, I don't want to be a distraction anymore or whatever. But Kyrie Irving, what's the whole drama? Do you want to break it down?
Yeah, it's a lot to do with vaccines, which now, if you are listening, we'll preface this. The reason we're talking about a political issue is because it's an impact on the league. So whether you agree, disagree with us, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, and it's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it.
I think speaking for both of us, neither of us, I think we all have our own beliefs, but I mean, we both respect everyone's opinions. I'm not one of the people who's gonna say, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. It's a personal choice. I understand.
The reason why I think you have to do it is just because it's we'll get into it.
That's my opinion too. I'm just saying you're allowed to have your.
You kind of have to do it, but not. I don't know. We'll get into it because there's a good segue I thought about. But here we go. Asked if he's excited to play in front of Brooklyn fans. Pretty much this is where whoever asked this is very, very clever, because if you don't know, New York and San Francisco, where the Warriors play,
California, right? Isn't it the whole state?
Is it all of California?
I think it's the whole state.
Why are we not hearing this with the Lakers then?
They probably haven't been as vocal about it as Andrew Wiggins.
Okay.
Probably.
Either way, I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron's not vaccinated, by the way. And that's not because of him. It's because I heard and this is a real source, back when COVID was a strong thing, that he was not in on the masks either. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
This is a legitimate source. Like, I'm not bullshitting you. Like, you know,
No, I got you. I got you.
know I had heard something. But asked if he's excited to play in front of Brooklyn fans, which he cannot do without being vaccinated. Kyrie says, I'm excited. The last thing I wanted to create was this hoopla and distractions. I continuously feel like I'm growing and learning from others. It won't be easy, but I feel like we have a recipe for success. So, if you do not know, I think it was Rolling Stone put out an article about vaccinations in the league. I believe Cantor was a part of it. Kareem was a part of it. And Kyrie was somebody they touched on. Obviously, his radical thoughts, regardless if you agree with them, disagree, they're very controversial. People, the earth is flat thing, whether he said it's a joke or not. I mean, he says these things, conspiracy theories, the whole nine. Reading the article, you get the gist that he is not vaccinated. They have members. His aunt, I believe, is in there, and that is the message you get as the reader, is he is not. Yeah. And he didn't want to comment on that today. I believe he said, like, it's personal. It'll come out soon enough. Whatever he said, but I would imagine he's not, and I would imagine he feels very strongly about not being that. Yeah. So, should he not get vaccinated, he will not be allowed to play in over half of Brooklyn's games, because he will miss every single home game, and he will miss 2 games against the Knicks and a game against the Warriors, and 4 total games in California, I guess, something if like that's the case, if that's the law in that state.
8 total games. Clippers, Lakers, Kings, Warriors, right? 8 games.
Well, no, because they only play their.
Oh, they're home. Yeah, but he can't play at home either. I
guess
that's
already happened.
Okay, yeah. I understand.
So he's missing at least 47 games.
A lot of games, yeah.
If he's not,
I will say
any Knicks, Nets, Lakers player, or any California team player has a potential. Like Wiggins has a potential to miss the most, because he's going to play 2 games away at each California team. So that's an extra 6 plus 2 over here playing Brooklyn and New York.
I will say, I feel like something, as much as you disagree or agree with it, I think something will get ironed out. I can't imagine the league will just have all these stars missing so many games.
They have these religious exceptions.
Yeah, I think Kyrie will get that. Andrew Wiggins got denied, though. So I don't know
anything. I know don't Kyrie think they Irving should, and I think the Wiggins is not a star, which goes to your point. He's not. I mean, he's a name, but if you're not a basketball fan, you don't really know who he is. Kyrie is a different category. People know who
Bradley
he is.
Beal, too.
Bradley Beal is another one that has come out and not vaccinated.
Yep, he said he wasn't vaccinated. He said his argument was basically, it was something along the lines of, well, if the vaccine works so well, why do all these people still get COVID? Which is just not the point of the vaccine. It's the point is to help you not get sick and, die when you get it. It just reduces the effects and reduces the spread. But it's neither here nor there. The point is Bradley Beal's also not vaxxed.
So he's not vaccinated, which really isn't going to affect him. At the most, he's going to miss, I don't know, maybe, let's say 8 games.
6 to 8 games, yeah.
Okay, so it's not the end of the world for him. But these guys playing in these teams that cannot play home games, it's an issue. Yeah. So you've got Wiggins, like we said, back to the point. He's not a household name. You say Kyrie is. Maybe they'll get star treatment. I'm not so sure. I feel like they have the way around it, which we've talked about, religious or health reasons where they cannot get the vaccine. Mm-hmm. That I feel like if that was the way they were going to let guys get away with it, then they would have been softer on Wiggins and said, okay, he's not a star.
No.
But I'm interested to see how this plays out, because to get into the more basketball perspective of this is, if you're the Nets, you're paying Kyrie Irving a max contract. That is one of your max spots. You're building a team to win a championship. You did not do it last year due to injuries, whatever you'd like to say. They didn't do it. They didn't win. So now you're going to have to play over half of your games without one of your top guys. Whether you love him, hate him, think he's going to help them win or not, that is somebody they're paying a lot of money. He's going to miss, at minimum, He's not someone known to play every game as it is. Minimum, we'll say 47 games.
Yeah.
Give or take.
It's going to be a problem. It's going to be interesting.
So if you're Kevin Durant, whether you're buddies with him or not, you want to win. This is a statement for, I would imagine this is something Durant wants. He really feels like he needs to win here. He did not go join up with Golden State. You know, if he listens to the noise probably more than anybody, or at least publicly not admits to it, but he pushes back, which is, I have no problem with. Go ahead, push back.
I love it.
Good for him. But he wants to win here. Kyrie being there makes it very difficult if he's not vaccinated and the rule is hard in place, enforced. He's missing all those games. And then on top of that, Brooklyn being one of the top teams will likely have home court and playoff series. So that means you're going to have to play without Kyrie for less than half your, or more than half of your playoff games if you're at home.
Kevin Durant did comment on the issue during his media day. And he said, I expect it not to be an issue. We trust in Kyrie, and I expect us to have our whole team at some point. So from the sounds of that, they know something we don't, which means Kyrie will either get vaccinated or they're working with the Players Association to find some workaround.
I feel like that's more of a, you better get it together or we're going to have to do something about this, because from a basketball perspective, he's right. Kyrie, the ball's in his court, okay? Mm-hmm. And we all know from what has been said recently, okay, we talked about last time the rumors if he's traded, he's going to retire. I believe he said that's not true, which I don't know why he would say that if that is really what he wants is to play there, because I think he's very viable to be traded if, you know, he's open to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the ball's in his court. He controls whether he's going to be valuable to this team. If he gets the shot, which is his choice, I guess, right? I mean, if you don't want to get it, don't get it. But there's going to be repercussions for not getting it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a question for you. And this is kind of off the topic of vaccines. You take Kyrie off the Nets. I still think they're the best team in the East.
I'm not sure they are. They might be, okay, but it's more competitive.
Definitely is, but I still think they're the best team. You can make an argument for a bunch of teams like the Bucks, the Heat, Milwaukee, maybe the Celtics, maybe the Sixers, but like, still, I mean,
they have solid depth at that position. Patty Mills is solid, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also don't know how impactful he is, but I just feel like there are guys that are better fits for that team, but he's someone that they built the team around. And whether you think what you think or not about them being the best, not having that, him playing for your team is an issue, not only because you're without him, you're without that talent, but then on less than half of your games that he's going to be playing, you're working on having him come into the lineup. Let's use his last year in Boston as an example, when he would have to sit out because of the knee injury or whatever, right? And you would see Rozier in and out of the starting lineup. It created issues for Rozier getting set in his role. It created chemistry issues. And even more of an example can be last year with the Celtics, with Kemba Walker in and out of the lineup. They really struggled to find their footing as a team because they didn't have that consistency in their rotation. And it's not always going to work like that, but it's something else to think about on top of all of the other stuff here.
That happened with the Nets last year, though, and they were still the 2 seed. Or were they 3 seed? No, they were the 2 seed.
They were 2.
So they were still the 2 seed, and they had everyone miss games. And I suppose another argument you could make is that they struggled with injuries all year last year anyways. What's to say they don't do that again? Like, and I don't think that'll affect them too much because they were so good. And regardless, you can put, James Harden at the point guard, still run a huge lineup. Like, you don't need Kyrie to run point guard. James Harden is their point guard, I would argue. Kyrie's probably the shooting guard at this point. So you could really just mix and match whatever you wanted to do. They have Paul Millsap now, so they could just run a super big lineup of Millsap, Blake Griffin, Kevin Durant, whoever the hell they want, and James Harden. So they have so many options. The Nets are absolutely stacked this year. Again, they got better, which is frustrating, but they got better. The Lakers are stacked. I know you don't think that'll work out, but those are the 2 best teams in the league.
I'm just not convinced they're that stacked, and that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about that necessarily right now.
Yeah.
But The best point about this is, hold on, let me get the exact quote, because I think this nails it on the head, literally for basketball and also metaphorically. Where the hell is it? I'm sorry, people listening.
Is this whose quote is from?
Marcus. It's what he said today. I just want to get it right because
nailed it. I have that in my tab. Hold up, I can get it pretty quickly. Let me find my Marcus quote. I have every tab of every Celtics media day open on my computer right now. So
okay, I got
it. Just get to Marcus. Yep.
Okay, so he's talking about being vaccinated. He didn't want to deal with the BS, which is very clear. I mean, it's clear cut. There is stuff you're going to have to deal with if you don't get it, and they're making it hard for you not to get it. Whether you think there's an agenda for the government that they're doing something with the people that are vaccinated, they have some hidden conspiracy that they're doing, or you think or they genuinely want you to get healthier and they don't know why people are not getting it. Either way, you're going to have to, they're making it hard for you not to get vaccinated. And so is the league. And this is the part I think really nails on the head why you should get vaccinated, whether it's for your health or not. Because I understand if you don't want it because you don't really think it's necessary for you, which could be very true. I mean, if you're healthy, you're probably not going to get the worst of COVID. But he says, because he didn't want his decision to adversely impact the team, but also said it's tough to be told to do with your own body. So he covers both sides, and he's right. It is tough to be told what to do with your body. There's a lot of issues with that, whether it's vaccine or non-vaccine. But where he's right, especially from a basketball standpoint, and this goes back to the Kyrie and Wiggins issue, not just to knock on Kyrie because he's whatever. But these guys are going to negatively impact their team from not getting it because they're not going to be able to play in over half the team's games.
Yep.
And if you really want to make that a metaphor, the reason why, you should get it, or a lot of people think you should get it, is not necessarily because of health. It's because you got to do what's good for the team, meaning society, so you can get back to normal. But it's your own decision.
Like I said, I think that they will find a workaround to it, whether it's Kyrie or Wiggins. I think, and you can think that they'll just miss the games. I don't know if that's how it'll work. And if it is, that'll be very interesting to see how it plays out with the team, etc. I'm curious to see how Kyrie tries to find his way around it, because I interpret the KD quote more as he knows something we don't, and that they'll probably try to find a workaround. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. It'll have to play out in the next month or so before the games start. And we'll have to go from there, I guess. But Celtics Media Day was today. Do you want to start to get into some of those quotes?
Yeah, I mean, we can discuss a general feeling around the team, but the Marcus quote was a good one. I mean, he's obviously vaccinated. Cantor's vaccinated. He's been very vocal. Grant Williams is vaccinated.
Yep, Jaylen Brown's vaccinated.
Jaylen Brown is vaccinated.
We haven't heard from Tatum yet.
Tatum, we have not heard about. Josh Richardson is not vaccinated.
I don't think he is. He didn't explicitly say that.
I think he did say that. I don't think
he is. Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha.
He said he's making a decision on getting it, which is fine.
Gotcha.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
But he is not. My favorite thing, I tried to watch some of it. I was at work, but you have time sometimes to watch. They're talking to Schroeder about his number. And obviously he had the fan vote on his app, which is, I don't know what benefits are you getting from having his app?
I have no idea. I didn't know.
That's so bizarre. It's such a strange thing.
Yeah, I didn't know he had an app until a month ago.
Mark D'Amico of the South, he works for the Celtics as a reporter for the team, asks him about the number. And I mean, they just discussed that the fans picked the number, and he's like, what is he supposed to say? He's like, yeah, 71, it's a great number.
It's very weird.
So bizarre. I
don't get it, but whatever. I mean, someone needs to wear those numbers in Boston because they don't have a ton of options open.
I feel like in the coming years we're gonna have some changes made to that.
Yeah, a bunch of Celtics.
Honor some players.
All the new Celtics numbers were released, though. If you want me to do a quick rundown, I don't know.
Richardson is 8, Cantor is 13, Hauser is 30.
Yep.
Is there anybody I'm missing?
Bruno is 28.
He's 28?
Bruno Fernando's 28.
Really?
Yep.
He was 55 in the summer league. Why did he change? That's so weird. Hernan Gomez was 41.
Yep. Horford's 42 again, which is great. And then Schroeder 71, and Romeo changed his number
to number 9.
Yep, 45-9. So there you go. But yeah, I know you mentioned before we started recording that you wanted to play a game where I read a quote and you guess who it was. Do you still want to go with that?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, I'll pick a random tab. I'll pick a random quote. You can guess.
I might, because I was on there today a little bit looking around.
All right. Let's see. I got to try to find ones that aren't super specific. So I'll start with this quote. It's going to be nice to have them cheering for me. I remember those playoffs. I don't think getting booed is a bad thing by opposing fans, but it'll be nice to have them on my side.
And that was Schroeder. That one I heard. He's talking. They asked him about it, and he said, they had that Hawks series, and they really gave him hell because of Isaiah Thomas. Like, they got into a scuffle, and after that, they were all out on him. But, I'm starting to get more and more excited for him. I think he's really going to be a good player on this team.
100%.
It's almost like they have too many players. It's a good problem to have. They have almost too many quality players to where you're not going to find minutes. Like Pritchard is someone that I'm like, where's he going to fit in? You've got Marcus starting, which has been kind of set already. It's what the plan is, at least. Schroeder will be the backup. What are they going to do with Pritchard? I mean, he definitely deserves minutes. He balled out in the summer.
Well, I think there are 4 guards that deserve playing time, and I think they'll just run them 2 and 2. I think Pritchard, Schroeder, Smart, and Richardson. I think Pritchard and Schroeder can run off ball because realistically, defensively, Marcus Smart can still take the bigger players. So I think the only thing is having them play off ball on offense. And I think the smartest thing is probably Smart, Richardson, Schroeder, Pritchard as those rotations. It'll be a small backcourt off the bench. But if they stagger it right, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. So that's my, guess at least. You ready for the next quote?
Yeah.
Let's see. It's tough. You always want to play, but I use that time to work on my body and get things right.
That must have been Jaylen Brown talking about it.
Nope.
No. Or maybe it's Horford because he sat. Yeah.
Bingo. Horford on why he had to sit out all last year. But hey,
Horford,
he's good
by
now.
The way, said he told them he wanted to go back to the Celtics. So good for him.
Oh,
did you
see
that?
Say that? No, I didn't see that.
I quote tweeted it. The guy, what's his name? I'll shout him out because that was a good quote to have. I like that kind of thing.
That's awesome. I had no idea that. I mean, it makes sense, but
Clevis Murray, Al Horford says he let the Thunder know of his wishes to rejoin the Celtics.
Gotcha. Wow, that's awesome.
Which confirms what Ainge told Toucher and Rich last season when he was talking to them about does it negatively impact the Celtics if guys like Kyrie, Hayward, Fournier leave the team? And he said, no, because I know at least one of those guys would do anything to be back here. So is Horford. That's who it was.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. All right, next quote. Let's see. I'm looking forward to us getting back to being the team we used to be. The team we have now is the team we're going to rock with.
That's a good question.
It's a great quote.
I feel like that's Tatum.
Nope. I don't think Tatum's had his media day yet. Or at least I haven't seen it on Keith's Twitter.
Okay.
Sure, I've been getting my info. Shout out.
Maybe it was Marcus then.
Yep. Bingo. Yeah. Marcus.
That was between them two.
Great quote. I'm hyped to see Marcus lead this team. He did have a quote about him being starting point guard. He said, more from Smart having the ball in his hands, just having the opportunity without looking over my shoulder. It's going to be real easy. We've got Tatum and Brown, and they're 2 of the best in the league. And he also said, feels good. I've always been a point guard. That's my spot. So he is the point guard.
It's kind of funny that he says without looking over his shoulder. Like, I think he's going to have the spot at the beginning of the season for sure. And I also think he's going to do well. But I think if he doesn't do well, I think Schroeder's going to step right into that role. I don't think it's concrete his. You know what I'm saying? He still has competition for it.
I think he does, but I think Schroeder's the bona fide 6th man because that I think the way, at least I hope they see it, is that that's the role he's had the most success in his career. So why take him out of that role? And at the same time, I think Smart was more referencing the fact that in the past, 6 years of his career, he hasn't been able to play that because they had Thomas, then they had
Kyrie, and then Kemba.
Then they had Kemba, and even Rozier for time, so he was still bumped out of that.
He started his career with Rondo, so you're absolutely right. He never really had the chance to be that guy.
And now he does, which is great, and I'm very excited for it. So we'll have to see what he does with those minutes. And I mean, it's Marcus Smart. I'm assuming he'll be just fine. Next quote. Let's take a look through here real quick. It's a lot of pressure. We're ready to go. We have a championship mentality. Short quote, but very effective. Talking about...
I think that might have been Richardson. Richardson, if it's not him, he did say something about that. Maybe it's Jaylen Brown then.
It was Jaylen Brown. He was talking about him and Tatum embracing that the Celtics are their team now, which is true.
Okay. That is true. It is their team. And
really
this is a big year for that plan, if you will. You can say it's a bridge year, which realistically it is, but I still think they're competitive. I don't think they're going to be horrible or anything. They're going to be up there at the very least. But it's true. It's a big test year for Plan J, if you will. These two guys are high draft picks. They have had time to develop now. Tatum has, Brown, obviously. They've both become great players. All the questions, can they coexist? Can they win together? I mean, obviously, they've had team success, so I think the answer is absolutely. But without somebody to defer to, like a Kemba Walker, how are they going to play? How is it going to go?
I agree. It'll be interesting. I think they'll be fine. I mean, I'm sure you feel the same.
I think they should be. I think they should have a really good season. We talked about it last time. We kind of did our little standings or power rankings. And I think they have a really large window of where they can end up. They could end up in the standings, not, when the playoffs are all said and done, as the number one seed if they really ball out. I mean, these other teams, they have lapses in the regular season. They don't necessarily try, load management, things like that. I don't see the Celtics doing a lot of that. I think they're going to really kind of try and see what success they can have. But they could also fall as low as 6, probably. There's a lot of competitive teams.
I think the floor is 8. I've told you that, but that's the very, very, very floor. If they really have a dud year, but I don't expect
the basement, Jack.
All right, next quote. This person is, quote, just hoping to make the team, end quote.
Just hoping to make the team?
Yep, that's the quote. You should guess.
Hauser, must be him. Or
you're gonna be surprised.
Just hoping to make the team. Is it Cantor? Is he busting balls?
Nope.
Or Fernando?
Nope.
Well,
want me to tell you?
No, because I want to keep.
Too late. I already told you. Wancho.
Very
weird quote from Wancho.
That is bizarre.
Right?
He's got a guaranteed contract. I mean.
Yeah. Very odd. I was very confused when I saw it, but yeah, he said he doesn't know what his role will be with the Celtics, and that he's, quote, just hoping to make the team. So
good for him.
I don't know if he was
laughing
during that.
Team.
Yeah.
I'm sure his goal will be achieved. He'll get a nice what do they call it? Affirmation early on in the season. He achieved his goal.
Another quote you like from him: I think my skills can help here. I can rebound the ball. I'll fight. I just want to compete. Love it. Love that from Wancho.
A lot of these guys, from what I've read, are really fired. I mean, if you go and look at any team, you're going to get that. But they seem excited to be here. There's a lot of guys that have a lot to prove. Richardson's got some stuff to prove. A lot of people were down on him after last season. Obviously, Schroeder gave up the 4-year extension with the Lakers. Good for him.
He did comment on that. I can find it real quick.
Was it with the Celtics interview? I think they talked to him about it a little bit. But
yeah, he basically said, let me find it real quick. Dennis Schroeder on turning down the $84 million extension. I never had that contract in front of me. We were talking about it, but I never had it in front of me. Money isn't everything. I still got a nice deal for me and my family. So there you go.
He's going to be fine. He's going to get more money next year, and
he's good.
Maybe he'll even like it enough to stay. Who knows? Probably not. It just doesn't make any sense financial-wise. You never know.
Yeah, we'll see. Let me find another quote for you real quick. I mean, okay. I'm going to run down all the quotes because this is we're going to go down a little Grant Williams rabbit hole because I absolutely loved the quotes Grant Williams gave in his interview. So I'm going to read them to you.
For the Grant haters, before we start,
I
was watching the Celtics live stream, so it wasn't the podium ones, but you can see them doing like dribbling in the background for hype videos, pictures, whatever. And he screwed up dribbling. So for those that hate Grant,
all right.
He fumbled the ball.
Grant Williams on what he focused on this offseason. He said conditioning, 3-point shooting, and improving my defense, which is
he lost 15 pounds. Good for Grant.
Yep. He talked about Rob. He said he improved so much from college, going to continue to improve. Talked about Al. I can learn a lot from him. He's so gifted. He can defend. He can shoot. He can pass. It's great to have him inside where we can throw him the ball if we need a bucket. On his role, I learned the best thing you could do is play your role and the best you can in that role. I got away from that last year. I tried to do too much. I'm fixing that. And lastly, on his body, my rookie year, I had to gain weight to play the 5, and then I never lost the weight. Now I've lost 12 to 15 pounds. I've got another 8 to 10 to lose to be able to play the 4 more. I want to be like a, quote, baby Al. So,
yeah, that's what I've been. We've been kind of hammering on that, no?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, good for him. I mean, watching him in the rookie year in the playoffs, he was guarding guys bigger than him, getting put in the game in the fourth quarter in tough situations if you're not playing the whole game. Like, Brad trusted him. Last year, he was off. Like, we all know. Even he acknowledged it.
Yep.
A lot of people are out on Grant. I'm not. I think he's got a lot to give. You obviously like him.
I love him.
I think he's got a good attitude, which is really important at that end of the bench. I think if he didn't play any minutes, he wouldn't really care. He'd be happy to be on the team, happy to contribute in practice. I mean, he's a quality player, and if you don't think so, then I'm sorry. If you don't agree,
he'll prove it this year.
You're allowed not to agree.
I think he'll prove it this year. I think he's going to have a really good season. Like you said, he's lost the weight. He's still losing weight, and I think that will let him be quicker, play the 4 more, give him some options at the backup power forward. And Ime Udoka had an interesting quote about that. He was talking about
COVID,
the lineup.
By the way, and we didn't even talk about it.
Yeah,
that was tough. Like
he'll be back tomorrow though.
A Block News, which A Block is before you go to the first commercial break. Everybody talking about Ime Udoka today.
He'll be okay. He'll be back.
He'll be
tomorrow.
This is the last day, but just a bomb, not immediate.
Mm-hmm. So Udoka was asked about his goals when setting lineups. And he said, balance overall, a lot will depend on who we start at the 4 spot. We can downsize or we can go big there. Bringing in vets, we have depth off the bench, and we want to see our young guys grow. We have some punch coming off the bench. So the starting lineup is not set, but it's not set in a way we didn't realize, right? I think we all assumed it would be Tatum and then one of Al or Rob, but they could play Tatum at the 3. They could bring in someone else and play Tatum at the 3 that's not a big man. Apparently, it's very up in the air. What do you make of that quote?
I feel like the Celtics, with this group, meaning Tatum and Brown, have always been kind of loose when it comes to their lineup because you can swing them up or down, just like we discussed. So it depends if Udoka likes probably Richardson or Nesmith at that starting shooting guard spot. And if he doesn't like either of them, then maybe you see Rob and Al at the same time, which I don't love, or maybe Grant or Hernan Gomez.
Juancho, yeah. It's weird. I mean, Udoka did talk about the idea of Al playing the 4. He said, we had a big lineup in Philadelphia. Al is a very cerebral player. He can work well with another big. What didn't work well was us putting him in the right spots in Philadelphia.
Okay.
He's looked great, and he's in tremendous shape.
Work well.
Yeah,
I was going to say.
He knows.
It was horrible in Philadelphia.
He knows. From the sound of it, though, he blamed the coaching staff more than Al, which is interesting.
Brett Brown's a moron.
It's very true. Brett Brown is not the smartest. We can talk about Philly, too, and get back to Celtics Media Day. They're a mess.
Indeed. Had to talk about Simmons. Rob Perez put out those videos today, and I watched them.
Yeah.
And he was talking about being disappointed, what he would have said to Simmons, which I don't exactly remember I think he would have said he was disappointed. I think that's how it got him to being disappointed. He said he didn't want it to be taken out of context. He still thinks he's a good player. He's just disappointed that he doesn't want to be a part of the team, still thinks they can win. He did say, however, he said, they said, should Simmons join you this year and play with Philadelphia for another season? What do you want to see out of him? And B, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
He said, I'd like to see what I see in these videos. He said what everyone thinks, because dudes always put, not just Simmons, always put out videos of stuff, and you don't see it.
Simmons just a clown for that. I mean, Embiid's right. If he did what he did in those videos, the Sixers would be a legitimate championship contender, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know if you agree, but if Simmons started shooting threes, I think they're not title favorites, but they're,
Well, Philadelphia by now should have been a title contender. I don't think they ever truly have. Last year was probably the best
And
shot
that's what I'm saying.
had.
If Simmons shoots threes, if he starts just taking them, I think that it takes our team to the next level.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know why he doesn't understand that. Because there are players. Just look at Giannis. Giannis is not a good 3-point shooter. He'll make some once in a while, but him being out there shooting them makes it so you have to at least pay attention to it. I mean, you can sit on the block and cover Simmons if you're good enough at stopping the drive.
Yeah. I mean, Giannis shot 30% from deep last year, and I think Simmons could shoot that as well if he just starts taking
horrible.
Them. No, I think Simmons could shoot that if he just starts taking the shots. It's just he's unwilling to do so for some reason.
I mean, you see what happened in that Atlanta series because they can key him out of that their defensive focus. They don't have to worry about him. And if he does drive, all they had to do was foul him.
And Capella is a great paint defender. They literally just had to stick him there.
Rob Williams is similar to that, even though in Philly I don't see him playing as much to guard
Rob Williams needs to gain some weight. Solid. Williams needs to gain some weight, and I think he has been a little bit. But
yeah, well, good for him.
Back it on.
But as far as Philly contending, I don't know if this year is going to be it.
No.
Unless Simmons, like we said, decides to change his mind about a lot of things. One, playing for the team. Two, taking shots that he's not necessarily comfortable with. Where do you think he goes?
I think, well, it depends. Are you asking from where I think – because I think there's three ways to look at it. I think there's where I think is the most likely, where I think Simmons wants to go and like those ideas, or where I think the Philadelphia Sixers will send him in order to get the best return.
Well, if you know me, I couldn't care less where Simmons wants to go.
Yes.
And I don't think he's in any position to tell them where he wants to go.
I agree. I'm saying, though, do you think it depends on if we think Philadelphia will honor his wishes to send him to California? And not if you think they should. I'm just saying, do you think they will?
No. I don't think so. I don't think he hasn't been cooperative with them. He hasn't really earned anything. I mean, he hasn't done anything.
You know what I did see, which I don't know if I'll be able to find it. I saw somewhere that Ben Simmons has a preferred destination, and it is the Lakers.
What does he think he's going to do on the Lakers? Who does he think they're going to send back? Maybe Westbrook, but
Russ.
How does he think he fits on the Lakers?
I don't know. I just saw. I think some.
See, you agree with me on that at least. Like he does.
Yes.
First of all, you agree that Westbrook might not be the best fit, but he's still a quality player.
Yes.
But I mean, if he's a bad fit, then Simmons is a horrible fit.
Simmons is probably the worst possible fit. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. If he thinks he's going to go to the Lakers, what is Philadelphia going to get?
Westbrook
from the Lakers.
That's all they could trade, probably. But I don't.
I think the most realistic thing. I've seen Denver. That's one I think is realistic. I think you said
Minnesota.
You think Minnesota? So you're if you had to like bet, which you probably could. I mean, there's
there are odds. Do you want me to read them to you?
Yeah, if you were putting money down, where would you put it? You would put it on Minnesota.
Yeah, they're the favorites right now.
Okay.
Minnesota is plus. These are FanDuel odds. Minnesota's plus 250. Houston's plus 500. Sacramento's plus 500. Golden State's plus 600. Blazers 650. Toronto 1,000. Spurs 1,000. 1,600 Thunder. Cavs 2,300. Wizards 2,300. Magic 2,900. And I know another website had the Celtics around plus 2,000 as well.
I was gonna say Celtics not even on the list. I don't think it's completely out of the question. It just depends.
I don't think
Philly's price sounds like it's steep, and the Celtics. And
I don't think the Celtics would have anything to give up.
Well, they could match, but there's not anything I think they want to give up.
You think Philadelphia would take back Al or Richardson? I don't think they'd want.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It would be really funny. They'd have to take those two guys back, and I don't think it would happen.
Also, side note, it's kind of dope that Al's playing with all of his teammates again. Right, you got Smart, Tatum, Brown. Obviously, you got Richardson from Philadelphia. You still got Schroeder from Atlanta, and he commented on it. He's like, "It's great."
The all-time Al Horford team.
Literally,
all they needed was Millsap, which was a possibility. At a time, it was a possibility. So you think Minnesota's number one, and that's what the odds say.
I do, but the trades that I've been seeing make very little sense for the 76ers, in my opinion.
Now, what do you think they're going to give up? You think they'd give up Russell?
I think Russell's a good trade for both sides.
I
However, from what I'm seeing, Minnesota fans and the Minnesota media thinks they can get it done with Jalen McDaniels, Malik Beasley, and etc., which I don't think is possible.
I'll say this, right? When I see trades happen, especially involving the Celtics, those are the kind of packages that the Celtics are expected to get back for a big piece.
Yeah.
Something like that's underwhelming. It's always something like that.
Like, did you see that Jaylen Brown trade with the Blazers a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it was like they get. Do they even get McCollum in that trade?
They get CJ and 2 seconds for Jaylen Brown and Peyton Pritchard and 2 seconds.
Jaylen Brown's better than McCollum is, and he's on a better contract.
I agree. And the title of the article was "Trades to Form Super Teams," which is just makes the Celtics so much worse.
Yeah, like, no, but those are the kind of trades that are put out there, right? So, you know what I'm talking about. I see from an unbiased standpoint, especially knowing that Philly's looking for something, I think you don't do it. They don't do it without Russell. What is Houston going to send them back, going down the odds? Yeah, but do they think that's enough?
I think they'd probably give up something. Let me look at this real quick. Rockets cap table. I think John Wall. I think Rockets fans and general NBA fans are thinking John Wall in like a first for Ben Simmons. I've seen John Wall,
which is a good deal
Gordon.
For the Sixers because I don't know how good they would be.
I've seen John Wall and Eric Gordon, which you'd have to match more salary, but you could do like John Wall, Daniel House, Daniel Tice if they want to match salary. You could do John Wall, DJ Augustine, Daniel House. You could do John Wall, Jayshawn Tate. That'd be pretty easy. So they have packages with young players depending on how the Sixers want to do it. But then you're asking the question. I mean, realistically, at this point in their career and this point with how they're acting, is John Wall a better fit in Philadelphia than Ben Simmons is? Like, realistically.
For starters, he'll shoot.
And he shoots 30%.
People that like Simmons love to defend Simmons, like saying he does all these other things and shoot. It's not about being able to do it. It's about being willing to do it. And that's the problem.
Yep, I agree.
And we already talked about this with Giannis shooting 30%, and we said it's fine, which it is fine.
Yep, John Wall shot 30% too last year.
Yeah, so if they're willing to do it, it's not a problem because it makes defenses at least have to think about it.
And I'll say this, John Wall and Ben Simmons averaged the exact same amount of assists last year per game. So,
but John Wall doesn't play as much defense, which is where Simmons is valuable.
John Wall.
Okay, but he's not guarding 1 through 5. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's not.
Yes, I was just saying
he's not giving you that same value.
In his prime, he was an all-defensive player, so I have to imagine he's still got some defense.
No, I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying
he's not Ben Simmons. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, 100%. People love Simmons for his defense. Fine. I'm not sure. So if I'm a Philly fan and that's the trade that they get back for Simmons, I'm not happy.
No. I also don't think it's the end of the world. I think it's better than the Minnesota package. I'd rather have that than like Malik Beasley and
than the underwhelming one. Yeah, probably.
I'd still rather have D'Lo. All right, let's keep going down the list. Sacramento Kings. I think they'd have a decent package they could offer, but they have said
sending Hield.
Yeah, they're not trading Fox or Halliburton, which is what Philadelphia asked.
Philadelphia wants them,
which I think is egregious.
I don't know if that's going to get done.
No, I think realistically, Buddy Hield, Marvin Bagley, and then they could flip Marvin Bagley for something else. Like they flip him to, I don't know, the Magic for Terrence Ross or something. Just, you know what I'm saying? Just like something.
Dude, the poor
veterans.
Magic, huh?
Yeah.
They're never going to be any good.
I think you get Buddy Hield. Honestly, you could probably ask for Davion Mitchell back, which is really good, right? You ask for Buddy Hield, Davion Mitchell, and then like, I don't know, Terrence Davis and a pick for Ben Simmons. I think both teams would do that.
Sacramento's really desperate to make a splash.
And I think that would make Sacramento a play-in team. Ben Simmons, De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes.
Simmons, because I think him and Fox are very similar players, and I think it's going to be difficult.
I think you could roll Ben Simmons at the 4 in that lineup.
No, that's fine. That's fine. And I think Bobby we talked to or Adam said they should just make him a center.
Yeah, which would also work in Sacramento, but they have Rashawn Holmes, so they'd probably want to play him. And Tristan Thompson, now our old friend.
Tristan Thompson.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's definitely.
We were really high on Tristan Thompson and Jeff Teague last year. That was
in
tough.
theory, it was great. In theory,
no, it was good in theory. It was good fits. Hopefully, it doesn't happen again this year.
Yeah. Warriors have a good package as well. They could probably they sent back Wiggins, Wiseman, and then like a young player and a pick or something like that.
And I think out of these teams that we've talked about, that's the best fit for him to perform well.
I think if they could get D'Angelo Russell, that'd be the best fit by far.
No, I mean for Simmons.
Oh, yeah, probably yes.
I don't care about Ford.
I don't know. I think the Timberwolves would be a really, really, really good fit for Simmons.
You think so? I think Towns likes to play on the block, similar to Embiid. I think
Towns shoots.
He's a better shooter than Embiid.
He shoots 8 threes a game. If there's a center in the
also
NBA,
the only guy playing on that team for a lot of the year with the injuries they had to deal with.
I'm just saying, if there's a center that Ben Simmons would mesh with the best, it is Karl-Anthony Towns, in my opinion, in the NBA, like by far. Like Karl-Anthony Towns is.
Imagine if the Warriors just played him at center. Imagine if they just did that. They could do that.
They should, honestly. They just run Steph, Clay, Otto Porter, Draymond, Ben Simmons.
The Warriors really signed Russell for no reason, with no intention of him fitting. No. And then flipped him.
Well, it was a sign and trade.
No, I know.
Brooklyn had to get rid of him. Yeah.
They traded KD, but they got him for nothing. I mean, they obviously lost KD, but I mean, they were going to lose him anyway. So they get Russell back. And they have no intention of really keeping him around as a fit. It never made sense.
Yep.
And then they trade him for Wiggins, who fits better than he did.
And an amazing pick.
He's been playing. That's what I'm saying. The picks. Not just one.
No, it was one. It was just one.
Was it just one?
Yeah, because then their pick was 14 because they didn't make the playoffs.
Okay. All right. Well, still, they get that
a top
pick
10
back.
pick and a top 10 pick. Crazy.
They got for free.
It's
in hindsight. I mean, obviously Russell's a valuable player, but I mean, they had no intention of keeping him around.
No. But back to Towns. In the past 4 seasons, he shot 42% on 3.5 attempts, 40% on 4.6 attempts, 41% on 8 attempts, and then last year he shot 38.7% on 6 attempts. If there's a 3-point shooter, yeah, I know.
You're right.
I'm just saying. If there's a player he fits with,
he's good on the block too, though. I think that makes it tough on Simmons.
It does, but you're not going to find a situation in the NBA where there's a center that never plays on the block outside of Indiana and I am blanking, Milwaukee and Brook Lopez. I think those are the only two that you have centers who only play on the outside realistically, right? Because Turner's always on the outside, Lopez is always on the outside. And I'll say it again. If Ben Simmons was on the Bucks instead of Giannis, he would be an MVP. And I back that 100%. I'll continue to say
about that.
I think he would be a Giannis level player.
I think he'd be in a good fit.
I think he'd be an MVP
with Lopez just sitting there on the outside. But I think Giannis's willingness to bend, Simmons just doesn't have that. It's not even about his physical ability. They're both athletic freaks, both, good defenders, can defend multiple positions, if not all of them. But Simmons is not willing, and this is the take floating around now. It's not even about can he shoot. We see videos of him making shots. He can obviously do it, but for some reason he's not, and he doesn't want to.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right, let's round out these trade odds. The Blazers, CJ McCollum might actually be the best fit for both sides. I think that might be the best trade for both teams involved.
I think so. I think that's a bad contract.
CJ McCollum's contract?
He makes the max.
CJ McCollum was phenomenal last year. I think if you put him in the right situation, like in Philly, I think he could average.
Okay, but we both agree he's not better than Jaylen Brown.
No, but I don't think Ben Simmons is better than Jaylen Brown either, though.
Really?
You think Simmons is better than Brown?
No, I don't. But you have different views than me.
No, yeah, I think Jaylen Brown's the better player right now. It's close. It's definitely they're both 25 to 30 range in the NBA. But it's very close. I just don't think
McCollum's that good.
But I don't think Philadelphia
statistics. I'm sure he had a great year, but you know what I'm saying?
I understand.
He's much worse than Jaylen Brown is.
I think in Philadelphia, much worse. I guess I don't know.
I think in Philadelphia, you said that trade's egregious. The other.
It is. I just think you lose so much on the defensive end, but I don't think that hurts the 76ers as much as it hurts the Celtics because the 76ers
they have
have
Embiid sitting down there waiting for them.
they
And they
have
have Tybal, and
Embiid to
they've
cover
got
the
all these
paint. They have
guys running
Tybal.
around.
They have Danny Green. They have good defenders. So if you need someone in Philadelphia who can be a shooter and a bucket getter around Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, CJ McCollum, right? Like he's been the second fiddle on an organization scoring wise for his entire career, and he still managed to average 20 to 23 points a game. You put him somewhere where he can be the secondary scorer, but the primary scorer doesn't get his points in literally the same exact way that he's supposed to get his points.
Yeah.
I think he'd be, you know what I'm saying? Like
no,
him
I know
and
what you
Dame
mean.
are the same player to some degree. So I don't know. I think you put him in that situation, and I think the Blazers would have to give up a couple picks. But Ben Simmons and Dame Lillard, that's elite. Like that'd be an elite team, right? Because that'd bring the defense. I think the
Lillard
reason
can
the
play
Blazers,
off the ball, I suppose.
The reason the Blazers have been so bad for the past few years is because their defense has been a bottom 3 team in the league. Ben Simmons, already alone raises that to at least like middle of the pack, right? And then I don't know if they're championship contenders, but it makes them significantly better, in my opinion.
I think the best place for Ben Simmons' success is going to be Golden State.
Okay.
Because I think they really might mess around and run him at center.
But Golden State GM did come out and say Ben Simmons and Draymond Green are too similar.
They are.
That is.
They are. And it would make it very difficult because they would leave both of them. So it would make it difficult on the other guys. I don't know. Maybe they send Draymond back then, right?
You got Toronto Raptors.
What are they giving? What do they have that you would want?
Siakam.
I wouldn't want Siakam right now.
Yeah, I don't think
I guess he's better than a lot of the other things you would get
unless
for Simmons. He's not even healthy.
Would they give up Van Vliet, you think?
No.
I think that'd be an okay trade for the Sixers, but I don't think
I just don't think Toronto would do it. That's their guy. They paid him.
I agree.
And they paid him instantly.
The Spurs are next. I don't think the Sixers would accept the deal from the Spurs.
I just don't think they have enough Spurs are willing to give. It doesn't make sense for them to give what. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It's as simple as that. It makes no sense to do that because they're not going to be competitive either way. So you might as well just keep what you got.
The Thunder are next. I think their idea would be pairing Ben Simmons with Shea, which I don't think would be bad.
Yeah,
they get hella picks. Cavs are next. I think that's a sleeper. I think Sexton for Simmons helps both teams.
What are the odds on that, Jag? Would you put money on that for those
Cavaliers plus 2,300? I might put like 10. Like I'm not a big bettor, but I'd put some money on that.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. Because isn't it rumored that Sexton wants out of there or something like that? Or they're not going to pay him. That's what it is.
No, the rumor is that the Cavs want to get rid of Sexton. That's the rumor, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is weird.
But Washington Wizards are next, which would be a Beal trade if he asks out. Which, honestly, if Beal asks out, the Sixers probably have the best package to offer.
Yeah, no, they do.
Honestly. And then rounding it out is the Magic, and that'd probably be, ironically enough,
picks.
A Fultz trade.
I was actually going to say if they still had Fultz, they could really be more flexible with what they ask for. They look for back.
Yeah.
Fultz has turned out okay. Just hurt.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how.
Isn't it funny they drafted 2 broken dudes back to back? Number one.
Who, Simmons and Fultz?
Yeah.
3. Embiid was broken too. You kidding me?
Well, no, Embiid panned out though. Simmons has panned out to a little bit of a degree, but not enough to be. Look at the issues they've got.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, that's all I had for today. Was there anything else you wanted to bring up before we, wrap it up here?
Celtics training camp, I believe, is tomorrow.
Opens up, yeah.
Today, so they'll be back at it. Udoka will be back.
They've signed some guys. We didn't talk about that. We don't have to get into it in depth.
Carson Edwards got waived.
Carson Edwards is gone. Celtics signed.
So that means you were right. So kudos to Jack.
Told you.
For being right.
Celtics signed Ryan Arcidiacono, Garrison Matthews, Juwan Morgan, Luke Cornett, and you're laughing for good reason because they're nobodies, but we'll see. We'll see if anyone swings on the roster. Keith Smith did say that Arcidiacono and Garrison Matthews both have a chance to make the roster, according to a source.
Garrison Matthews had some solid games last year. I think he makes the roster. I think he had some good showings. His averages aren't way up there, but
yeah,
I think he got inconsistent minutes. But I remember he had a couple 20+ point games. Yeah, good.
3-and-D, yeah.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Marcus Smart clowned him. I don't know if he dribbled through his legs or something, but I remember Marcus Smart got the better of Garrison Matthews at one point, which was very funny. But anyways, yeah, like I said, that's all I got. What about you? You got anything?
No, I mean, we're going to have preseason next week, which is going to be fun to talk about. A lot to look for in this preseason if you want to like preview it for yourself.
We'll be back on streams soon, right?
Yeah, we'll probably next week we'll probably do one.
That'll be fun. It's been a minute.
We'll be back on the streams. You can catch them on Guy Boston Sports, YouTube, Twitter too. They said they were going to take away Periscope, but they definitely didn't because people go live all the time.
It's still there.
And
it's still there.
You'll get notifications now because when people go live, you do get them, even if it's not enabled. I get them from randoms, and it's like, why are these people? But yeah, I mean, you're gonna have notifications, so you'll see it if you follow Guy Boston, which is a huge account. You probably do if you're listening to us and you know who we are. We're excited to be back on that. We'll be there. I'll be there. Probably tired as hell because I work at 4 a.m. now. But I'll be there. I'll be propped up on this chair. We're excited. We're going to have real basketball storylines to talk about. As I lost my train of thought, you've got all these minutes at the guard position. Where are they going to go? What are the lineups that they're going to roll out? How are guys going to look? Who's going to make the team? We were just talking about these guys they just signed. Juancho doesn't even know if he's going to make the team. So
Juancho will make the team.
A lot to be excited for. I think this team's going to be good. I thought last year would be good too, and I still think they should have been. I think they drastically underperformed.
COVID injuries hurt them a lot. Also.
Yeah, but I think they should play well this year, and I'm very excited.
It'll be fun. I'm excited as well. I need basketball back in my life. Obviously, miss the Celtics, but even Hornets and Heat basketball, I'm excited for, which is
neither here nor there. About those teams.
But yeah, thank you guys all for listening. You guys can follow us at Bannertown USA on Twitter. Follow me at Jack Simone NBA, and per usual, Sam, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much for listening. Is right. If you're watching on YouTube, if we're going to be there today, I'd imagine we are. Thank you very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Continue to watch. We'll be back at the very latest next week. Maybe we'll do another one. Probably will have some stuff to talk about now that there's actually stuff going on. You can follow Jack at Jack Simone NBA. You can follow me at follow Bannertown at Bannertown USA. And you can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA. Thank you so much for listening. I'll take care of it. Bye.
Tic-tac-toe. Come on.